Hello, everyone, all my dynamic women, and welcome to our expert training where today we have the lovely Angela Calla. Hello, Angela.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hello, hello. So I'm going to introduce Angela, and then we are going to get into the thick of it where she is going to teach us how to make intelligent mortgage decisions that will help you save money and move up the property ladder. So let me share a little bit more about Angela and why we have her here today. So the Mortgage Code author, Angela Calla, she's going to show you how to make intelligent mortgage decisions that will help you save money and move up the property ladder. This leads to a better life, maximizing your personal wealth to thrive in any life stage or market. How timely for us right now. These options and more will be yours once you have been through and learned the Mortgage Code, right? Which is a book that you guys should all be picking up from Angela. And for more than a decade, Angela Calla has been one of Canada's top mortgage brokers with Dominion Lending Centers. And her radio show, The Mortgage Show on CKNW AM 980 is the longest running home finance program on Chorus Entertainment. Angela recently added best-selling author to her list of accomplishments. Her book, The Mortgage Code, A Guide to Helping Canadians Move Up the Property Ladder, Avoid Costly Mistakes, and Save Money, is a North American bestseller on Amazon and a real bestseller. And with 70% of Canadians owning a home, it's no surprise that they're looking for insight on how to get their mortgage working for them. And this book turns the tables to empower, educate, and elevate the borrowers. Being a longtime real estate investor, a powerhouse in volume, and influencer in the mortgage industry, the Mortgage Code also demonstrates Angela's core values of giving back to community where she lives. And all proceeds, listen up guys, all proceeds from this book this year are going to fund a much needed new emergency room for Eagle Ridge Hospital, which serves Port Moody, Port Coquitlam, and Coquitlam and surrounding communities, and that's all in the BC area. And also, I just have to add in that she is an author of other books as well. She is a mom of two, right, Angela?
Yeah.
Mom of two. And she gives so much of her time and energy to her community, and she's a multiple award winner. You can see a bunch of them behind her, but also community awards as well. So I just want to throw all that extra stuff in to make sure that all of you know. So welcome, Angela, and thank you so much for being our expert trainer and for teaching our community all about this topic that you're so passionate about. So I'm going to let you kind of kick it off.
Thank you.
Pull up your slides.
It's such a pleasure to have this opportunity. I have now been in this industry for over 16 years. And so for me, I just feel so grateful to be able to help Canadians through this changing time and give them the confidence that they need. And I have to say, I have amended this presentation today, obviously, to deal with the current times. I've been very busy working with Chorus, Global News, and various other media outlets that have reached out to me for a little bit of clarity. And our office has been working around the clock to make sure that we can personally talk to as many people as we can. And I feel very comfortable and confident because I've seen this exact interest rate environment and pricing model from the banks back in 2008. And that's what really kind of put me on the map for being able to help Canadians and bring people to me as a resource to help them through this time. And so our mission statement that we've created today is to provide financial wellness by educating, empowering, and elevating you to have a better understanding on how mortgages work to your benefit and how to use your equity, acquire assets, and manage money to best meet the goals in the different stages of their life. Diane and I were speaking just a little bit about this, and in the last 12 or so months, I've really been modifying my, hang on, I'm just trying to click through here. How do I get through to the next one? Here we go. I've been really modifying my strategy because what I've learned is that because Canadians are unaware of how mortgages work, they have not been necessarily understanding where to go to get the best mortgage advice. And they've been asking lawyers, and they've been asking accountants, and they've been asking financial planners. And while we pay these people for that service, what you might not know is that they are not on the front lines of the mortgage industry, and they really don't know the short, mid, and long-term impacts of the decisions that you're making and the why behind it. So now more than ever, I've been really passionate about getting through to those individuals. And as a result, those individuals who have been proactive and have collaborated with me and had me in to give them a Mortgage 101 have completely changed their business models to integrate us in very early in the evaluation stages so they can deliver more value to their clients. And as a mortgage professional, we're the only people that you're not paying money to for a consult. So it's really important, and we're very proud of those lawyers and those accountants and those bookkeepers that have stepped up to the plate to learn how we can better help their clients and they can deliver more value for what they're doing. So the topics that we're going to cover are how to intelligently shop for a mortgage, the penalties for breaking a mortgage, the terms of a mortgage, getting the best interest rate that works for you, amortization tips, strategies to consolidate debt, 4 questions to ask when looking for a mortgage broker, proactive mortgage management, and common mortgage traps to avoid. This is incredible. I've sat around the table with people who have practiced law for 30 years, people who have been in accounting for 30 years, and this has literally changed their practice and the best hour that they've ever invested in their life. So if you're watching this today, the value that you're going to get from this will literally change your life. So I congratulate you for that. And I know that mortgages are very personal, and what I want to make very clear from the beginning here is if you have any questions, I really want you to email me directly, because I know that this is a very confidential topic for a lot of people. And so we want to make sure that you get your questions answered in confidence. And we want to bring you into the inner circle to get the frontline news that we're delivering to provide clarity to for the media. So we want to make sure that you're following us on our social handles and that you have a direct line to the people in the country that are clarifying this for Canadians and around the world. So please, my email address is acalla@dominionlending.ca. And this is an exclusive invite to you to have frontline access to us for that.
Thanks so much for that, Angela. That's very generous of you. Thank you.
You're welcome. So mortgage deferral in the pandemic that we're in right now, we have been able to assist people with understanding what is a mortgage deferral, what happens during that time, how does it qualify. And for that, what I will do is I'm going to bring you right to my Facebook page. Because of the media that we have access to today, all of our clients are getting the information directly as it comes out, and we've been releasing this to the media, and the media has been utilizing this. So I just want to bring you into the post so you can see what we've been sharing with the media and how it helps. So the first thing that I want to cover, and if you follow our Facebook Angela Calla Mortgage team, you'll be able to get the same information that we're delivering to the media. And a mortgage deferral is, if it's approved, it allows you to delay the payments for a time granted and done on a case-by-case basis. This varies greatly from lender to lender and is based on their decision. We've seen approvals between 1 and 6 months with extended delay for approval. What happens during that period is, while you're not obligated to make the actual principal and interest payment, you still will have to pay for your mortgage insurance if you have it, your house insurance, and your property tax portions. But once the deferment is over, your payment's going to increase to be higher on top of your regular mortgage payments. So that amount that you've deferred is added to each payment, and you pay additional interest on that. So the longer the deferral, the higher your payments will be after the deferral period. I do have an article from the Star that includes that. But who qualifies for this is, as of this moment, only those who do not have the ability to work or make payments as a result of COVID-19 is the only people who qualify. Anyone who's still employed at the time will not qualify. What about rental property mortgages? A lot of people who are renting are wondering, and a lot of people who have rental properties are wondering. And deferrals in general are not being approved on rentals at this time. If and when they are, it will come with additional costs for the landlord, as noted as above, once determined. Right now, Landlord BC is working on a rent bank, and details are expected later this week. And a rent bank will be something that a tenant can apply to have the landlord pay directly. And of course, there will be some repayment plan that will be put in place at that time. And just this morning, the Prime Minister came out with some new measures that they're taking for self-employed people who wouldn't normally qualify for self-employed, and they've eliminated a whole bunch of things. I also, on my Angela Calla Mortgage team page here, I have a link to the most updated resources. So if you are self-employed, if you are someone who needs EI immediately, to help you make your payments, please go to my link on that page to get that. Now, what about my secured line of credit? Now, what experience has demonstrated to me and what we've seen over the last week is the lenders are increasing their spreads based on variable rate mortgages for secured lines of credit. So if you have a line of credit that you've been using that is drawn, let's say you have a home equity line of credit and you've used, 50, 100, 200, 300,000 on it, and you've been making the interest only payments. Now, with what I know from the market cycles I've been through in life before, is the lenders, if they want to, they have the absolute right to raise that line of credit interest rate on you, and that will impact you financially. Also, if you're in a tight spot, the lenders have the right to request that you make a much higher payment. They can request that you make 3% of the outstanding balance as your payment, and they actually have the right to call it in immediately, and that will put you in a position where you have to refinance your mortgage very quickly. So I want to let you know, if you have one that you're utilizing, knowing what I know and seeing what rates have done, not only in the last week, but what they did in 2008 is they sent everybody that had a line of credit at Prime a letter and said, guess what? We're changing our line of credit now to Prime +1. That's your choice. It's taken almost a decade for the pricing to be reduced off that. And so utilizing my experience, what I want to tell you is if you have a secured line of credit, now's the time to look at our options to lock that in at a lower rate before they decide that they're going to increase their rate and increase their profits on that. And unfortunately, a lot of people are upset about that, but the lenders need to keep a spread, and they can only lend money based on deposits. And with so many people that are unemployed presently as a result of COVID, and with the deposits being minimized that are going into the banks because people aren't earning their full potential and businesses being shut down, they modify the spreads. And so people are so confused right now because they're saying interest rates are going down, but why are mortgage rates going up? And I don't understand. That's exactly why. It's their cost of funds and liquidity. I've seen this before. I've seen it again. I know it will level out as soon as things go back to normal, and they will go back to normal. This is the best government response that I've seen in these type of economic times. And so while we have an adjustment period over the next 4 to 6 months, I can tell you it is nothing, while we all are going through our stress differently, I can tell you that we will get through this financially and that we can help. If your employment is secure and you're working through this pandemic, pardon me? Diane, did you have a question?
No, sorry. We just had someone join us live, and I think they weren't muted when they come in, so we're good. And all I just want to add is I'm really glad that you're covering other things that our business owner, I'll jump on video, that our business owners are facing right now, because it is, this is the scary time, right? And I'm glad that you're covering the lines of credit and other things that really affect business owners and not just people with a mortgage. So thank you for adding that in.
You're welcome. And I'm very fortunate in the front lines and doing the volume that we do. We get consulted, and we have a lot of clients that we're helping through this. As soon as we saw this crisis happen, we were communicating with our clients what they can do. We were showing them resources, because we know mortgages are more than just applying for a mortgage. It's looking at your whole lifestyle. So this is just a real life demonstration of how we are leaders in this industry and how we've led our clients through these difficult times. I just had a client who was a car mechanic that messaged me, and unfortunately I'm going to be recommending she get a new bookkeeper and accountant, because clearly this is your time to shine and send your clients lists of ways that you're going to help them. And she hasn't received any of that. And so I'm self-employed. I run a business. I have employees. I know the resources that are available to you. And that's why, again, we're providing links to these, because when clients contact us and they're considering a deferral because their income is impacted, but they're unaware of some of the emergency resources that are available from the government. So that's why I really encourage you today. I want to give you the direct line to follow us on Facebook and get to be a part of our newsletter list, so you can get the information that can help you make a good decision. And that's why I kind of really wanted to reinforce the lines of credit and how I can protect you during this time. So if your employment is secure and you're working through this pandemic, there's never been a better time. And I've written about all these things in my book, but especially this. If you're working and you want to know how to be proactive to protect yourself, you need a 6-month emergency expense account that is not for investment, that's just for emergencies. And so every time we do a mortgage renewal, a mortgage consultation for someone, we're looking to see if we can take that out for them so that they can be protected for things that we can't predict. So if you're working and you want to know how to protect yourself, it's time to review your mortgage, see what your options are, and get you prepared so you don't have to have, anxiety during this time. Another really big aspect, and I'm going to kind of go over this in the presentation, but I just think it's really critical right now. A lot of people are really worried about their investments. And what I can say from personal investments, because I'm not only invested in real estate, I'm not only a business owner, not only an employer, I also have money in the investment market. And what I know is now is not the time to panic and take your money out, because after this, as an example, 4-month period, we're going to see a significant bull market again. And it's going, our on-site chief economist, Sherry Cooper, said, it's going to be like a shotgun. Once people are not having to be quarantined, once people are returning to work, the amount of consumer spending that's going to happen is going to go up significantly. So we will be able to benefit from that. So it's just a matter of making sure that you are positioned properly. But this is not settling for people who are over 55, because they have a different trajectory. Some people were using their assets in the market as a revenue stream. And the sandwich generation is most concerned about this, because we have young kids and we're working and we're doing what we need to do. But our parents who are maybe on CPP or OAS, and maybe they were taking money supplemented out of their investments, they're concerned about what to do. And so the best new product that I've seen come to the market or be reintroduced to the market is a reverse mortgage. And that allows people to access their equity in a lump sum or monthly payment or combination of the two. And a reverse mortgage is not viewed as income. So they still get their pensions that they would get from the government, anything that they were entitled to, and they can stop taking losses in the stock market if things are down right now, drawing them for their living expenses. They don't have to traditionally income qualify like we do. And they have access to their equity, and it's much, much better than them getting into a situation of using credit cards to get by, which statistically is what a lot of seniors are doing right now. So we can protect them from that. We can save their equity. We can protect them. So if you have parents or grandparents, or you yourself are over 55 and you have a home and that's how you are utilizing your equity, we can help you. So I always like to take the opportunity to go over that. And without further ado, I will go back to the PowerPoint so we can kind of get through the other meat and potatoes of how we can help. And just as a reminder, again, we have more COVID-19 information, and we have a full list of lenders. Actually, I just do want to show you something on my website quickly. Oops, there we go. We have the common answers questions that we went through that was on my page. We also have the deferring mortgage update from the client's perspective. We also have a full list of lenders that are on here. So if you had questions on deferring your payment, we have a full list of lenders there as well, which we came out to. And as soon as we put that online, that got 9,000 views within the first day. And it helped a lot of people just with some clarity on that. But if you have any questions on that, please make sure that you're following us.
Angela, so if I can just acknowledge you, you have really risen as a leader in this industry. And like you were saying, bookkeepers that aren't reaching out, now is the time to be stepping up and to be supporting. And so I've been talking a lot this week to my clients, to my community, the Dynamic Women community, around really rising up as a leader, stepping up as a leader, not just in your industry to your clients, but to your colleagues and to society in general. And so I just wanted to highlight the fact that you are doing this completely, like fantastic example of that. And so thank you for showing how it can be done really well.
Thank you. My pleasure. One of the things that people are really learning right now, and this is completely life-changing, is how to intelligently shop for a mortgage. Because I'm telling you, it's impossible. There's no way, unless you're in the front lines of this industry, doing it day in and day out, that you have the ability or the tools to shop for a mortgage on your own. Because the way that the contracts are written are read identical, but they have completely separate meanings. And basically how we shop for a mortgage intelligently is based on the penalties, the terms, the rates, and the lender history. So 7 out of 10 homeowners will need to break the term of a mortgage. The reasons could be moving, job relocations, renovation, debt consolidation, and divorce, to name a few. I really lay this out in my book, The Mortgage Code, and I kind of have the pages where we lay it out on a lot of the slide deck here. But contracts can read the exact same between what's called a monoline lender, who's only accessible through an accredited mortgage professional, and the calculation can be a significant difference. It can be $25,000 eating up 6 months and a year of mortgage payments to set you back. There's never been a time better than the present to really understand and absorb that. There's never been a time where we've needed to know that we have the best mortgage. So to give you an example, on a $350,000 Canadian mortgage, which is the Canadian mortgage average, we would say here in the Lower Mainland, that's more of a $500,000. But I want to point this out to you, and I want to point this out to you for several reasons. At 36 months, the total amount that you would pay based on the same mortgage. So people think, oh, I'm so great, I can walk into my big bank and they're going to beat any rate that I'm going to get. Why would I go anywhere else? My bank can give me the same rate as a mortgage broker. Forget it. They're going to give me a free iPad or something. This is so important. Well, at 36 months, you have the privilege right now with rates as low as they are that $28,887 is interest and $29 is principal. So the remaining balance is $320. If you take a look, if you are like 7 out of 10 Canadians that are going to have to break your mortgage at 36 months on a 60-month term for any of the reasons ahead, and even if none of the reasons above were applicable to you from a personal lifestyle perspective, which is what all those reasons are, right now, the market has done something that nobody can control. Nobody knew COVID was coming. Nobody could predict it, that it was going to be to what it is and lead to all this. But it's the situation that we're in that we have no control over. But if you have a mortgage that you qualified for, arranged from a lender that only deals with mortgage brokers, your penalty to get out of your mortgage, to break it, to access an emergency fund is only $1,280, compared to if you have your mortgage that was negotiated on your own by a big bank, your penalty is probably too punitive for you to be able to take advantage of the market. Or even if it's not too punitive for you to take advantage of the market, you've still paid all that interest to nothing by having a mortgage with a big bank if you qualified for a mortgage that was through MCAP, First National, Merix, Paradigm. So that's why this is so critical to understand on how the banks are marketing to you. They're marketing to you based on giving you a discount off their posted rate. Posted rates for monoline lenders are the same rates that are accessed. So their posted rate, as an example, was 3.09. So the difference in the remaining balance is almost half of what you contributed to your principal balance. So that penalty absorbs 1.5 years of principal payments. In a time where we need to access our funds for crisis, in a time where we might be deferring payments because of life circumstances, it's never been so critical to understand that the mortgages that the public can access on their own are not ones that they should go for. This is the time to understand. This is why you use an accredited mortgage professional. We use the big banks all the time, but only if you can't qualify for a better mortgage. If you can qualify for a mortgage that's not available to the public and through a mortgage broker, this is why they are our first choice, even if their interest rate is 5, 10, or 15 basis points higher. And this is clearly why. And if you go to a lender on your own, they're never going to tell you, hey, our penalty is so punitive and done, so we can handcuff you to the lender at a later point in time and have to sell you credit cards or tell you have to use a credit card or a line of credit. Or now you have to defer payments instead of breaking your mortgage to get a new one. And this is why. So there's never been a better time for this to be significantly imprinted into your brain on why, if you can qualify for a mortgage with a lender that's not accessible to the public, this is why you want to do it. Terms of a mortgage, flexible payments. people heard about the big banks coming together to offer up to 6 months. Before the big banks were offering it, guess who was offering it? The monoline lenders. MCAP and First National were in front of this. And they said, hey, we want to let you know we're setting up dedicated customer service lines. So this also goes to the lender history portion that we're going to as well. And we also touched on that with the lines of credit as well. But people have short memory about these things. But flexible payments is another thing. We know based on lender history, who has done what, who was led, who's led in customer service, what have they done in terms of crisis. And also their prepayment privileges contribute to the positive pay down of your mortgage. Some lenders say if you prepay your mortgage, you have to break your mortgage to get out of it. And the way that they sell it is that we're going to help show you how to be mortgage free faster. Well, that may or may not be applicable, and they're showing you what helps them. They're not showing you what helps you, because lenders are completely biased to themselves. They get compensated based on what they do for the bank, not for how they save clients money. And mortgage brokers are the exact opposite, because we are here to do whatever's best for the client. And so when we talk about getting the best interest rate that works for you, we're reinforcing that, you know, banks are accountable to their shareholders. We're accountable to clients by utilizing our experience and the basic numbers that are black and white, that have no marketing flash and dash on exactly what's applicable to you. And monolines, provided that you qualify for a monoline lender. And by the way, the banks give all their money to monoline lenders to invest. So it's the bank's money. It's just they're not telling you. It's the difference between being able to get a mortgage retail or wholesale. And again, I want to reinforce, we're not slamming banks. Banks are great and we need them for their policies, because again, to qualify for a monoline lender, you know, you have to have a very high credit score. You have to have very stable income. The property has to be a property. So we use the big banks all the time, but only when we know that that's the best for the client based on their circumstance. So if a mortgage broker has given you a mortgage through those lenders, you know that that was what was best for you at that time. But the monoline lenders offer better rates, better terms, and lower penalties. So we're also protecting your credit, which credit is an important thing to consider as well, while we're looking at these options for you, because we get to shop all these lenders with only one application. Whereas if you yourself go to different lenders in efforts to see and decipher what the best option is for you, that takes points off your credit score and disqualifies you for the best options that are out there. So it works against you. And anyone who does contract work or is self-employed, working on commission, running a business, or has multiple revenue streams, a mortgage broker will work alongside you, because we know how to work with your accountants to determine what the best fit and mortgage requirements are without negatively affecting your earnings, taxes, or business. And before I go into the next slide, I want to let you know that I have sat with accountants that have been in business for 30 years, and they've never known why somebody would take a different mortgage interest rate. And so there's too many self-employed people that are out there that are renting just because their accountant doesn't know the type of mortgage products that are out there that could help them. And when you see the slide above that talks about the options that are out there and how much principal you get into your mortgage, I did a spot on Global News, which I'll take you to right now actually, that talks about why we want to make sure that we help millennials with a plan to get into the market if they can. And we busted the top myths that millennials have when getting into the market, and why, if you're self-employed, we want to show you the different mortgage options that are available. I'll just play that now. It's a...
Hey Canada, get dinner tonight. The whole
Unfortunately, I can't skip the ad, but Swiss Chalet is doing takeout amidst these times.
Hey, that's okay. No problem.
Swiss Chalet. Taste it once, love it forever.
When it comes to buying your first home, there are a lot of questions and often assumptions that aren't necessarily correct. Joining us now to debunk some of those common misconceptions from millennial buyers is mortgage expert Angela Calla. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. You know what? The thought of buying a home for millennial buyers can seem overwhelming sometimes, especially when they think about that down payment. But I know that that's one of the myths you want to talk about.
You know, absolutely. It's time to turn the tables. If you're talking to someone in their teens and their early 20s, don't talk about how real estate isn't affordable and you're never going to get into the market. Look at how you can do it. It doesn't matter if it's your first home or your third home. You can get in with as little as a 5% down payment depending on your purchase price. Take a look at your rent. See what you can afford within that if you were going to go out and rent. And just think about how powerful this is, Sonia. If you're sitting with someone that wants to move out one day and get their own place, if they have a 4-year plan, if they save $510 a month for 4 years, they have enough for a 5% down payment for a $500,000 home. So when you actually look at that plan and look at the steps, it's attainable if you're willing to do the work.
And I guess sometimes you might have to lower those expectations. You might not be able to get a condo in downtown Vancouver. You may have to move somewhere outside of the city, maybe in the suburbs, and maybe get a smaller place.
Exactly. Just live within your means. And if you start saving from the moment that you get a job, so if you're going to be sitting around the table or the lunchroom with anyone who's younger, tell them as soon as they start getting a job, put that paycheck aside in a savings account and invest in yourself first.
I understand another assumption can be about employment and how long you have to have a job before you can qualify for a mortgage.
You can qualify for a mortgage as soon as right after your probationary period is done. Even if you're newly self-employed, there are so many options out there for people with so many lenders that it's really a matter of just finding out who's got the right product and terms for you.
Do you often hear also from buyers that they aren't ready to make a move because they're not sure where they're going to be staying or what their life is going to look like in 5 to 10 years?
Yes, definitely. And you know, that doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter, because I can tell you this, 100% of your rent payment is going to somebody else. Whereas with today's low interest rates and the lenders that are out there, you can have half of that payment going towards your own principal. So you're investing in yourself first. So regardless of any gains in the market, you're investing in yourself. And that's the only tax-free investment that's available to you. So invest in yourself.
And what about qualifying for a mortgage, in particular if you have loans or other debts?
Well, that's what's important, is every loan is different on how it's calculated into your total debt service ratio. So look at what applies to you. Some people say, oh, I have to pay off this debt. Well, maybe use some of the money that we were allocating for your down payment to pay that off, and that'll be an advantage to you. Also, becoming a homeowner gives you options. So if you do have debt outside your mortgage and you were hoping to pay it off first before getting a mortgage, once you own your home for over a year, you can look at actually consolidating that outside debt into your mortgage. So owning a home gives you nothing but options.
Interesting. Okay. And then lastly, I think there can be a lot of apprehension about buying a home, and do I have all the right information, and can I trust the information that I'm getting?
That's why it's absolutely critical to work with an independent mortgage professional, because who you're surrounded by is who you're influenced by, and they might have wrong information. Policies and lenders and options are changing at all times, and it's important that every year you review what options apply specifically to you. Only take advice from people that are in the field, in the front lines.
And how is the mortgage forecast looking for the next little while in terms of rates?
It's looking fantastic. Rates are expected to kind of stay around the same, but the real estate market is recovering a lot faster than what people think. So take advantage. When you hear things are slow, that's your time to go out and buy. The best times obviously are not when everyone else is doing it in spring and fall. It's obviously summer and winter. So use that to your advantage. Start saving from day one and you can have those opportunities.
All right, Angela, some great information. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Such a pleasure.
Okay, so going on that, obviously that was an interview that was done a few months ago, but still all very relevant information. So when we talk about options that are available through mortgage brokers and not through consumers, there's many banks that work specifically with self-employed. This example makes accountants' jaws drop, and lawyers also had no idea about why these types of lenders were used. And when they learned this, they were excited to be able to bring this to the table when they were helping people who were self-employed. This is Frankie. Frankie is a business owner client of ours. He was bringing in $400,000 in revenue, and he only paid himself $60,000 per year to minimize his taxes. He wanted to purchase a home and asked for a mortgage of $800,000. He had a down payment of 20% already set aside. To qualify for the lowest interest rate of 3.09% at the time for him, he would have had to pay himself $200,000 a year for 2 years in a row, which would have pushed him into the highest tax bracket. He also, at that point, would be compromising his business and taking the capital that he needed for his business and reinvestment and growth out. And also, he would have not been able to purchase anything for 2 years. So he would have continued to pay rent. And if the market went up, of course, he wouldn't have any advantage in that as well. So we worked out the payment and realized the loss in equity. We were able to get him a mortgage rate that was below the Bank of Canada qualifying rate, so he could see all the benefits much sooner without taking capital out of his business and paying onerous taxes. This next slide will change your life and completely, never ever have you shopping for a mortgage based on interest rate again, once you see these black and white numbers. So was it an advantage for Frankie to use a higher interest rate? Absolutely. He saved himself $101,700 in taxes by taking the higher interest rate. He was able to get the home that he wanted without compromising his business. And he was able to keep an extra $140,000 that he would have had to pay himself in his business for reinvestment and growth. And this doesn't even take into account the appreciation in real estate, which is the only tax-free investment that you can ever have over that last 2 years of him owning as well. But let's look at the numbers on why people might be confused and need this breakdown. If he qualified for the mortgage at 3.09%, which everyone thinks, oh, mortgages are about the best interest rate, his monthly payment would have been, $3,823. He would have paid $91,752. He would have had a commitment fee still. The lenders call it an insurance fee on the A side. They call it a commitment fee on the B side. He would have had to pay himself over the 2 years, $400,000 in salary. He would have been in the highest tax bracket at that point, paying $138,284 at 34.57%. And his total cost over those 2 years, if he wanted to pay himself what he needed to qualify, $256,436. Obviously, we can see at the higher interest rate, 4.99, his monthly payments are higher. And we also can see his commitment fee is lower because with the chartered banks that work with self-employed, they call it a commitment fee instead of an insurance fee, and that's lower at 2% versus the 3.3 that they still charge you at the lower rate. And he only had to pay himself, remember the $60,000 a year that he was paying himself because that's all he needed, the $120,000. And that reduced his taxes significantly. And over the 2 years, he only paid $27,184. And so his costs were much lower, which equated to all that.
This is huge.
This is life-changing, right? Like I would literally drop them. I should have had fireworks going off right now. Like,
well, your passion came through. But this is why being with someone who actually knows more than just the mortgage is important, because a lot of the...
Yeah, this is where accountants are failing. They don't know. They're like, oh, it's a high interest rate. We don't know. No, it's a high interest rate. There's fees. Oh my God. Can you believe this? You could be self-employed and getting advice from someone who doesn't know the why. They know the taxes why, but when they look at this, they go, wow, and even lawyers are getting commitments from like Home Trust, Optimum, Equity Bank, and they're saying, why are they getting these mortgage with these lenders? I don't know why you're paying this high rate. We do. This is why, this is a decision that has been broken down on numbers, and it's important. It's important. I mean, think about, and again, here, what this shows you is you have the power of choice. We can show you what you need to do to get that lower rate. Yeah. And we're not saying that all self-employed people have to, get this high rate. This is just why you use an independent mortgage broker, because we'll show you, we'll tell you, this is what we can do for you. This is how you get this rate. It doesn't matter to us where we put your mortgage. We're compensated equally regardless of where we place your mortgage. Our only job is to give you unbiased advice.
Well, mic drop for you. I'll come off and you can keep going.
Okay. Amortization tips. Again, in today's critical environment, I can't reinforce why my book should be given to every kid in high school to read, because you always need to take the longest amortization available for you for your situation. Because taking a short amortization does nothing but handcuff you and make you acquire outside debt. Because when you have a long amortization, you can always prepay your mortgage. That's why we look at the terms for you. You can always prepay your mortgage to reduce the amount of interest that you pay, but it gives you the flexibility. So in times of crisis, like COVID-19 right now, you can reduce your payments to the minimum. So maybe you don't have to defer payments and you don't have to have that additional interest cost down the road because you have that flexibility in your mortgage. So this is why, just another reason number 10,995 it's important to use a mortgage broker who's not biased to a particular lender and is not biased. I don't have to make any goals. No boss is coming down here saying, make sure you handcuff your clients this way. It's all about you. It's all about making sure you're empowered to make the right decision. And again, we advise, you instruct. Just because we're going to advise you on all these options, still, if you want to take a different option because you've been educated and you just feel differently, that's fine. But at least you have the power of choice when you utilize an independent mortgage professional. So the strategy to pay off debt at the lowest interest rate. 6 out of 10 Canadians live paycheck to paycheck. I would say that in today's day and age, it's more like 7 to 8 based on the data that we're seeing from the crisis that we're in. Debts accumulate very quickly and the interest rates can be very high, making it impossible to pay off. So using the equity in your home to free up cash flow is very important. And this will save you from having to go into a consumer proposal or bankruptcy that will impact you negatively for 5 to 7 years. So I have to tell you right now, if you have debt outside your mortgage and you own a home, this is another reason why we promote home ownership. You have options. If you have a mortgage at 2.89%, as an example, maybe you have a line of credit, a car loan, credit card, store credit cards, you can, provided that you qualify to do so, and hopefully you're with a monoline lender. But I do have to say that this example was with a lender who the client had like an RBC or CIBC mortgage, so they paid a massive penalty, as you know, but it was worth it because their net savings were $955.92 a month. So if you have debt outside your mortgage right now and you're still working, contact us to get a better mortgage. And even, you know, once this is all over, it's really important to look at how to get your money working for you, because I can't think of anybody that wouldn't appreciate having this working for them in a more beneficial manner. So while this is something that I usually spend a lot more time on, I'm just going to, I know that we don't have a significant period of time based on this. And if there's any questions, I'd like to get to those individual questions. But this is why we are so passionate about following up with our clients and making sure that we have a proactive mortgage strategy in place. And that's why we don't only email them, but we call you once a year. We send you all this information. We want to make sure that you don't accumulate outside debt where you're not going through this time period of saving this money. And remember, lenders, the credit card industry, lines of credit, the car loan, even if your car loan was at 0%, still getting rid of this $450 a month payment for this monthly savings is significant. So we're only looking at how do we position you? How do we turn the tables and give you this savings so you can invest in an income producing asset or have a 6-month emergency fund and stop accumulating outside debt when we can't control that our income might go up or down.
And so, Angela, you will have until the end of the hour if you want to
Okay.
take the time. And then I'll just ask that those watching, if you do have any questions that maybe you think about asking them now in the chat room so that we can kind of manage the time, and Angela can take any extra time she wants on these slides.
Excellent. So the 4 questions to look for when you're using a mortgage broker is, what are mortgage rates based on and why? I mean, this is very clear. Today I went over this a little bit in the introduction, but variable interest rates are based on the prime rate, and the Bank of Canada prime and the bank's prime are 2 different things. And the bond market dictates that in addition to liquidity. The next thing is, what strategy are you recommending and why? There's absolutely a strategy based on your life stage, your age, your employment, why you're doing what you're doing. It needs to be broken down. I did in 2011, it's on my website as well and on YouTube. So once you start following me, you'll get this information. But the information was the same in 2011 as it is today. We have a proactive mortgage strategy called the Plan, Optimize, and Protect. And so our clients, when they get a mortgage with us, we're showing them how to make tiny, tiny increases at specific points. So even if interest rates doubled, they would not have payment shock at the end of the term, because they would have the ability to weather any storm that comes their way because of the small increments that we've made throughout the period of time. And that's how we protect you. And regardless of what's happening in the market, even if the real estate market goes down, you're in a position to move if you need to, because of the proactive strategies that we put in place to protect you. So if you take a fixed rate, it doesn't mean that you're protected against interest rates that will change. And especially in the market that we're in today, When people are looking at deferring payments and redoing things, you want to make sure that no mortgage is a set it and forget it. If you're not reviewing your mortgage every year, you're leaving money on the table, because there's new up-to-date strategies that are being implemented based on the market and your lifestyle. And that comes into, what commitment are you giving me to personally manage my mortgage over the long term? If you've gotten your mortgage directly from a bank on your own, you're getting calls from them only when they're trying to sell you something, or there's some advantage or target that they're trying to make. The bank will never call you and say, hey, I found a way for us to lose tens of thousands of dollars and for you to gain that. So again, that's what the complete black and white, night and day difference is from utilizing a mortgage broker. We're consistently, proactively looking at all the market and lifestyle aspects that could be happening based on your profile in the market to ensure that. And we actually have a plan and strategy in place. All of our clients, when all this started going down with the COVID crisis, they had 4 emails telling them exactly what to do, what was happening in the market, who was vulnerable, how we could help. And they also, in addition to emails, all got phone calls. So we take our mortgage family very seriously, and we're here to protect our people. So that's that aspect. Divorce, I'm going to go through, I know I wanted to take you to the divorce because we did on Global a segment recently on divorce. So I'll take you here to elaborate a little bit on how we can help you through divorce and go over any other key topics. We might have an ad. Hopefully it's food.
Call our new app,
Okay,
the
no, it's
Watch
not.
Global HGTV, Food Network, Global News, Slice, History Showcase, and W Network app, but that name was slightly too long. One app's got it all. The new Global TV app. Download now and stream anytime.
Welcome back. Separating from a partner is stressful for most people, to say the least, and the pain of ending a relationship gets even more complicated if you own a home with your ex. So how do you move forward financially if you're tied to a mortgage with a former partner? Expert Angela Calla joins us now with some advice. Angela, thank you for joining us.
Hi, welcome.
Obviously, a huge topic for so many people, with a lot of couples moving in before they're married, becoming common law, and then of course marrying and getting divorced. So I mean, what's your first piece of advice to somebody watching who may be going through that situation right now?
The first piece of advice is to reduce the stress of an already complicated scenario. It's really important to consult an independent mortgage expert, because doing so will protect your credit and it gives you unbiased advice. And the first thing that's most important to realize is what you're going to be able to afford moving forward. And there's a lot of misconceptions with what people can actually do. And so with that in mind, a lot of people are actually surprised to learn that provided they qualify, and depending on the value of their home, they can actually do a spousal buyout without selling their home for up to 95% of the property's value. So when you utilize the unbiased advice of a mortgage professional, you can ensure that you get the right advice. So if staying in the home is a #1 priority for you, you can see if there's debt outside the home that can be consolidated in to pay out one party, and know that all the options with all the different lenders are being reviewed unbiasedly, so you can make the best decision for your family.
Now, what would happen in the case that a court ordered the sale of a home? Can you speak to that at all, or?
Well, with the court sale of a home, they would sell the home and divide the proceeds accordingly. Of course, if there's children involved, then family law would be involved. And so whenever there's an action, there's always a reaction. So if one of the spouses is paying child support and spousal support, up to 100% may be utilized in some cases, but in some cases, lenders won't accept some spousal support, or they won't accept 100% of someone's child support, depending on the profile of that independent borrower. So that's a big strategy that has to be discussed with your accountant and your lawyer. And you have to look at what is going to give you the result. So obviously, the more amicable it could be, the easier it is. But if someone is self-employed who is parting ways from the relationship, then in most cases, although there might be tax implications of them removing one of the assets, depending on where they live as well during that time period, can really impact the options that are available. So we are just very grateful that we're in a position to be able to outline all the options and have families decide what's best process for them while educating the other influencing parties that are involved in the process as well.
Absolutely, and I'm sure there's so much concern from people that come to talk to you for advice. So what's the biggest question or concern that you hear from people that are wondering what to do in this situation?
Well, they really need to learn how they can qualify. And what we're seeing right now, and one of the best products that's being utilized that people are really unfamiliar with, is if parents are coming on to co-sign for a mortgage, then what can happen and can help minimize tax implications from the parents as well and not have them have costs associated with it is they're utilizing reverse mortgages to help bridge the gap to keep families together in homes as well. So there's so many options that are out there, and utilizing an independent mortgage professional can help educate the influencing partners around you, such as the lawyers, accountants, and financial planners, and ensure that you get the right advice. Because what inspired me to write this article initially for What's On magazine was the fact that if a client is going to an institution and they're getting the wrong advice, then they could be selling their home when the best option to keep the family together and keep things as stable for the children is to stay in the home. But if that lender didn't have the product, then there's no rewind on that advice. So we're really passionate about ensuring that people know that utilizing a mortgage broker's service is free, and that we're here to give unbiased advice on what the option is. And it's really important to know that that's at the snapshot of that time, because so many things can change in that journey when you're looking at separating from your partner.
Right, and there is a way forward, as you've just proven today. So
yes, there always is.
Thank you so much, Angela Calla, for your advice and for being with us this morning.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay. So back to the PowerPoint. Again,
We got 8 weeks till we open the doors and people get off.
how do I delete that?
Day is another day closer to opening.
Go back to where you had your video before. The next video is probably playing.
There we go. Stop you. Okay, there we go. So anyways, we're very passionate to be able to help people with solutions, and so that kind of articulated that. We talked about a reverse mortgage, and I talked about that, and you'll see that in my Facebook post. This is a great tool that banks don't offer, that are available to the public, and also financial planners aren't necessarily aware of the benefits. So I've been trying to work with a lot of financial planners to educate them on this. This allows the investments to continue to work for you without the tax consequences. There's no monthly payments that you have to pay. It protects your spouse, so you don't have to go through a stress test and be subject to qualification, because of course most people are afraid that they won't qualify for a mortgage, and most won't. So this is a great option instead of accumulating outside debt, and it helps you keep your pension benefits. So common mortgage traps to avoid is not understanding the difference between a mortgage broker and a mortgage advisor. The banks have gotten really smart and created these roles that are meant to implicate or meant to make you think that they're mortgage brokers, but they're not. Only people who are mortgage brokers are people who are licensed mortgage professionals through FICOM. So choosing a mortgage based on rate is death, because you need to understand the history of the lender, the terms, the penalties, and associated fees, and nobody can do that for you but an unbiased party. So that's where people unfortunately get financially behind in life, is not understanding the difference between the interest you pay and the interest rate. So don't limit your flexibility by having limited prepayment options, and don't choose a short amortization with the highest payments, because that will only disqualify you and handcuff you later. And all these lenders are all spending millions of dollars in marketing. You hear ads all the time, get your home equity working for you, easy approval, but it's always what people and lenders aren't telling you that costs you money. So never go to a lender directly on your own. Get unbiased advice. It's free and it protects you. So not understanding how lender selected could increase or decrease your options. Again, this goes back to lender history and all the items that are applicable. So it's very easy to see that the clients that we have, once you become a member of the Angela Calla mortgage team, everybody in their family uses us. It's a family affair, and they make sure they don't go anywhere, and we're really grateful for that. So this is just an example of somebody who's been a client of ours for 15 years now, and we've helped their daughter, and has also all of our clients, when we launched the mortgage code, got a copy of that as well. So the mortgage code is available on Amazon. Also, I've been grateful to participate in the dynamic book that we have here. Diana, I'd like to make an offer that if anybody's willing to pay the shipping on it, that we will send them a book while supplies last, of the Dynamic Woman's book that you and I worked on together.
Amazing.
So
I'll hold it up.
Excellent. Please hold it up. Yes. And also, we will do a draw for the people who sign up for our newsletter list to include a copy of the mortgage code in that as well.
Awesome.
So also, I do the mortgage show on CKNW going on its 11th season, Saturdays at 7 p.m. As you see, I'm very fortunate to be able to be on the front lines to help Canadians with clarity to know how to get through this. I have the experience. I've seen it before. We're going to get through this, and it's a privilege, and that's why I'm working around the clock to make sure that we can help as many people as we can. And what I've really realized is that it comes down to teaching the influencers that they need to come to us. They need to speak to us. They need to be educated by us, because this is the root of a lot of things that we need to make sure go right for you. And you're only in a position
For
to
sure.
get the right information.
Amazing.
So please send me an email. Follow me on Facebook, Angela Calla Mortgage Team, and LinkedIn, and let's get your money working for you to protect you.
Amazing. So you already said if people want to reach out to you, it's that acalla@dominionlending.ca. Perfect. And to sign up for your newsletter, they go to angelacalla.ca, do they?
Yeah, or if they send me an email, I'll just add them right now.
Okay, perfect. And if they wanted a copy of the Dynamic Women Success Secrets book or your the mortgage code book that you have, how do they grab a copy of that from you?
So the mortgage code's available on Amazon. And the dynamic copy, if they're willing to pay the shipping, we'll send it out to them right away while supplies last. And we will do a draw for the mortgage code for someone who does that as well.
Awesome. I'll just get you to unshare then what you have up there right now. Thank you. Thank you. And so our community, you know, we have some of you on right now, but we have our community will have access to this. I know that this is going to be a really amazing resource for them.
This is the best hour you can spend in your life, as far as I'm concerned, because for us to sit around the table with accountants and lawyers who've been practicing for 30 years and had no idea about this, think about all the people that we can actually help. So we're taking speaking engagements. We're open to collaborate. We need to empower Canadians to have this information, because it's the difference between you retiring early and the quality of your life and your health.
Yeah, just daily being able to sleep at night, knowing that you're taken care of. Well, thank you so much for you know, giving of your time, your expertise. Your passion is just like radiating through the computer at me and everyone else. So thank you for that, and thank you for being so available for our members to reach out to you. So a big mwah to you. Stay healthy, stay happy as you always do, and keep being just a powerhouse in the world out there for your community and for the people that you work with.
Thank you so much. Such a pleasure. Stay safe, everyone.
Thank you.